It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.
Joining me down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, we have a couple of special guests. One you've seen a lot of lately, and she's got signs everywhere. The mayor of Evergreen Park, Kelly Burke. And then also we have Erin Smith. She is a nurse over at OSF Little Company of Mary, and would be the kind of person that sets up your scheduling for a test for a colonoscopy. And March is National Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And there's a reason the mayor is down here, and there's a reason Erin's down here. But first of all, welcome to both of you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, Chris.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me back again.
Good to see you, of course. So we'll get into what Erin does, but why don't we first explain why you're here? Because otherwise people are going to sit there and say, why is the mayor here for this segment? You were diagnosed, what was it, a year or so ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
December 2023, after a routine screening. So nice segue into what Erin does. I was diagnosed with colon cancer. And it was through a referral from my primary care doc, Ginny Hendricks, who was one of your guests.
She was a guest recently.
Yeah, at a little company, because of my, it was time for a screening. And so I went and had a colonoscopy, no symptoms, no health risks, no family history. And I was diagnosed with cancer, had to have surgery, had to do some preventative chemo. And am here as a success story, but I just feel really strongly about the screenings. I had to be prodded into it, but since I finished my chemo and started talking with folks about my experience, I have had people who have said, "Oh my gosh, I went and got the screening. I heard what, your situation. I went and got the screening. Everything was fine, but I'm so glad I got it." So to the extent I can lend support to Colon Cancer Awareness Month, I'm here to support Erin.
That's a great story, first of all. Secondly, I know that was something that when you were first going through it was not something you really wanted to talk about. So I know it's a brave thing to be able to talk about going through.
Well, when it's in the rearview mirror, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to talk about when it's in the rearview mirror than when you're in the thick of it going through it.
Yeah, and I don't think it was something that like people even noticed, because you think to yourself, okay, chemo, and we would have noticed something like you would have lost your hair, but that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Cancer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it was something that you went through, and still, I mean, I don't think anybody would have noticed unless you told them, which is incredible about it. So Erin, you heard the mayor talk about a hesitancy to get her test. And, I see all these different things, like everything from there's a certain age, so don't worry till you get to that age. I tend to wait until my doctor tells me to do something. But then I'll say, okay, fine. If my doctor's telling me to do it, I'll go and do it. I also see the commercials where people poop in a box, which I think is a little weird, but I know some people do that. So what is the recommendation? When should people actually first get tested for this?
Within the past, 2 or 3 years, they actually changed the recommendation. It used to be 50 years old. Everybody 50 and older should have a colonoscopy, but they have found that colon cancer is on the rise, and unfortunately in younger people, so they did change it to 45. So anyone 45 and older should have a screening colonoscopy. The colonoscopy, from what I understand, is the gold standard for finding colon cancer. It's the best one, the best test, because you're actually going in there and visualizing.
And that's the scope thing. That's exactly what that is.
That's the scope thing.
I had a surgery on my stomach. How long has it been now? 7-8 years. And so I got multiple colonoscopies done because they had to make sure that everything was the surgery. They were trying to figure out what was wrong. So they were scoping from the top and the bottom. I would always say, please scope from the top before you put the scope in the bottom.
That's usually, and they're two different cameras.
Yeah, right.
So I was getting them before I even got to the recommended age. Okay. So now it's funny. I'll look at my doctor, be like, hey, is it due? And he's like, you've been scoped so many times. Take a rest. Okay. But it is something that a lot of people don't go out and do. So the way that I remember it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the worst part about the test is actually the day before the test. Because you got to take some kind of solution. You got to make sure everything's cleaned out. Don't make any plans that day. But then you go in, and it's something that they just basically they put you to sleep there's a test and it's over. It's not something that's very complicated, correct?
So that's what the overwhelming majority of patients will say. They'll say, "Oh my gosh, the prep was rough," and they have all different kinds now. I mean, back when I remember my parents having to do this, and they had this huge gallon of fluid that they had to drink, and now there's versions that you just mix over the counter stuff with Gatorade. It's more tolerable. There's pills you could take. There's two mini jugs of liquid. So there's different types of prep that you can talk to your doctor about, which one works for you. But that is usually the part people say is rough because you're on a clear liquid diet all day. So you can't have any solid food. You can't have milk or orange juice. You can have coffee, but no cream in it, which who has coffee with
You're going to lose a pound or two.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. Here's the thing. You're going to lose a couple of pounds in the process. So think of it as a quick weight loss thing.
Yeah. And
try to put a positive
you kind of dehydrate a little bit. So, but yes, you do lose a couple pounds. But once you're all cleaned out, coming in that day, it's, you get an IV and they put some medicine in there and you kind of just drift off to sleep. Yeah. And before you know it, you're awake and you had someone check your colon for you. So
now there's an age for screening, but are there symptoms? Did you have any symptoms? None. Okay. Are there symptoms that that possibly the mayor just ignored?
I ignored nothing.
There are symptoms of colon cancer. However, I think the overwhelming, especially in early stages, there are none. You might see changes in your stool, but you might not. You might have cramping. Some people will have an urge to go to the bathroom, and then when they go, that urge doesn't really feel relieved, or they're going more than they used to. So you'll see a change in bowel habits, maybe unexplained weight loss. So those things are there, but often in the early stages, they're not. And that's where the colonoscopy becomes really important, because if you can catch something early, I think when they catch it early, if it doesn't, if it's still localized, I think it's a 90% survival rate. But when you catch it and, when it's metastasized, I think it's 10.
Yeah.
I think with stage 3 where it's in the colon, maybe spreading to the lymph nodes, I think that one was around 70. So the sooner you catch it, your odds just go way up. Your survival rate goes way up. So it's an important test.
Yeah,
like you say, people are I don't have any symptoms and I feel fine. So you don't go to the doctor. But what if you didn't go?
You were stage 3.
So stage 3, in stage 3, and I tried to put it at, and you as a medical person might roll your eyes at this, but it wasn't as bad as it sounded. But stage 3, it meant it was in your lymph nodes, but it had not gone anywhere else. It wasn't
in your other organs.
Exactly. And it wasn't in the bloodstream. There was no, they call it circulating tumor DNA. And there was nothing like that present. So I had as good a prognosis as you could get. But the chemo is designed to just eradicate if there's anything left, after the surgery to remove the growth, if there's anything left to get rid of it. And, I'm 2 years out and so far so good. And it's, the trend is your friend in this is what I like to say, the longer you go out, the better, it is. So I think they monitor you for about 5 years. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that you really want to catch, and you want to catch it as quickly as possible.
And you're a perfect example, though, because you didn't have any symptoms.
Right.
And you did have it.
Right.
And what if you wouldn't have went in for that test?
Yeah.
You don't want to think about that, but...
No, 100%.
You going in for that test was great.
How often do you test? Because that's the other thing. You just heard me talk about the fact that I've gone in and I've gotten one. Okay. So then I go and I ask my doctor, hey, when am I due for one of these again? And they laugh at me because they're we checked you. It's going to be a while before we have to check you again. So what is the normal time frame for somebody?
So the normal time frame would be if someone goes in, say, 45 years old, and they have a colonoscopy and it's all clear, doc says, come back in 10 years. If somebody goes in and they have polyps, the doctor removes the polyps, and then he says, come back in 5. The thing about colonoscopies and the polyps, those polyps could be benign, but they could grow into cancer. So that's why the doctors will take them out. So if you have polyps, you come back every 5 years. If you don't have polyps, it's every 10.
Okay.
So it's not like you need to go, every 3 months and have a colonoscopy.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got me freaked out now. This is the thing. Like, you got me freaked out now. Like, well, it's the thing where it has symptoms, but like you might not even notice any symptoms, and then all of a sudden you could die. Like, I mean, now you got me. Like, I guarantee there's somebody who's listening to this right now who's like, well, I got to call my doctor right now, and I have to go get this all checked out and stuff. So,
yes.
So is that the regular procedure? Is go see your general practitioner, like the mayor saw hers, and that person goes, okay, no, you're due for this. It's time to go get it. You schedule it. They talk with somebody like you, and then they're getting it done.
So yes, that's one way to do it. One way is to go to your general practitioner and ask for the referral. Another way, though, is you can go on OSF Little Company's website. You can enter in all your information, and then we can schedule you directly with one of our providers. So you actually don't need your primary care provider to say that you need the colonoscopy because they changed the standard to 45.
Okay, so if somebody says they want to go direct with OSF Little Company, Mary, they can contact you.
They can go on the website. There's a link on the website to schedule testing, and then I can give you my phone number for my colonoscopy line.
Oh, we can get that out. Don't give out your cell phone. When you were like, I give you my phone number. I'm like, I don't want people calling you at home about this.
No, I don't want to schedule colonoscopies at home, but I will absolutely do it at work.
I mean, HIPAA and everything.
Right? I can give you the number that you would call if you wanted to call and schedule direct. And then also on the website, you can just it's like you click on a link and you put in your email and your insurance, and then it emails me, call this person and, get them scheduled for a colonoscopy.
Do you have the number off the top of your head?
I do.
Go for it.
708-229-6243.
All right. You give that number a call, and you can schedule this. I find it really interesting that you can do something that simply. I always look at healthcare as confusing. I mean, honest. I mean, it's very confusing, especially when you throw in the insurance thing. Like, I'm currently in the process of getting new insurance for myself, and I'm figuring out how I'm going to, what's the next stage for me, and what I need to have covered and things like that. And, I hear you say what you're saying, oh, just go on and schedule a thing. And I go, okay, that's great. I hope the insurance covers it. And I think that's the thing that makes people the most nervous. That might be one of the reasons people stay away from tests. And when somebody calls you and they want to schedule something, is that how hard is it for you to figure out their coverage so that they can be at ease when it comes to that?
So that I don't handle the insurance part,
okay.
But I do, we have a financial clearance center at OSF. And if people have questions, I'm I give them the numbers to call, because those are the people that actually work it up. So for instance, I'm 46 years old. I'm getting my colonoscopy scheduled. So the insurance will run it and they'll pay for it because it's, the standard of care right now, 45 and older. If I want to get another colonoscopy in 2 years, the insurance is going to tell me no. And if I try, the financial clearance center usually catches it before somebody does something their insurance doesn't cover.
Okay.
So there are people at our hospital, kind of working kind of behind the scenes on your insurance covering that. Because that is always a concern that,
right.
Oh, I'm going to have this test done and then I'm going to get the full bill for it. My insurance didn't cover it. Always a concern. But we do have people that we can put you in contact with if that's, your questions.
After you've gone through it, Mayor Burke, and you've gone from start to finish, from, hey, you should get this test, to, oh my goodness, what are these results, which must have been terrifying when they first talked to you about it, and then going through the entire process, wondering how it was going to turn out, and getting to the point now, like you said, you're a couple years into it. Overall, any advice you would give somebody if they went and they got a test and found out that they had colon cancer, or that there was a concern, or any advice that you would give them?
Yes. So don't take it lightly. There's a lot of, especially when you weren't expecting it, there's a lot of denial, oh, this can't be happening to me. I mean,
test it again. Right.
Test again. There must be some problem with the test, which of course is not accurate, but, really find a doctor you're comfortable with. I ended up, getting a second, I had a protocol explained to me about, this is how it should go. I went to Northwestern and got a second opinion from a doctor who a friend who was going through the same thing had recommended to me, and she was awesome, but she recommended the exact same thing as what the folks out south were recommending. So I'm like, why am I going to schlep down to Northwestern to have this done when I can have it done closer to home in a more comfortable atmosphere? But but having that second opinion really, I think, helped me make a decision.
Because there was a little bit of denial.
Reassurance.
And reassurance that
you're doing the right
what
thing.
people were telling you was the right thing to do. And then the second thing is, having a support system. And one thing that really surprised me as I was going through this, and especially like with the oncologists, and then at the place where you would pop in to get the chemo, is they would tell you about people who hadn't shared their diagnosis with their family or friends, that they were literally going through this by themselves. And it could have been a situation where maybe they didn't have somebody to share it with, but again, the denial. And I just don't know how you could go through it. It's so many emotions. It's fear, it's anger, it's trepidation. What's going to happen in the it's sadness. You have to tell your family and your kids what's going on. And I don't know how somebody could do that without having somebody to share that with. It's a lot. And I was lucky to have a great support system within my family, with folks I work with good friends. Like you said, I did kind of keep it in a smaller circle because it's a lot. And
you're a public figure. That's a lot to go through.
And people would come into it from a place of caring and love, but you don't need to be hugged in the grocery store. You know what I mean?
And sometimes
it's you're going through a lot, and accepting that outpouring of emotion, it's a lot to take. So,
I get that totally.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where I will need to get something off my chest and throw it into one of my shows.
Right.
And then I will randomly have somebody sit there and say, "We're thinking about you. We're praying about you." And I'm like, "Oh God." Right. I mean, it's so sweet that they said it, but now I've opened up a can of worms where everybody wants to give me a hug. And it's a lot.
So I think there's and you know what? Everybody's different. Some people want that. Some people thrive on that. That's how they're going to cope with it. That wasn't how I was going to cope with it. But I just couldn't imagine coping with it by yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's just too much.
I understand that, having like that smaller, tighter circle of people you can, just like relax and. Right. But also, when you're at the grocery store, you don't want to be asking questions. You don't want to be asking you those questions.
Yeah, you're right.
Trying to find the cheapest carton of eggs.
Of course, they're like well-intentioned, but you're like, I'm at the grocery store. I'm escaping from that. I don't know.
Right.
Where are the eggs and how much do they cost?
Or somebody checking out your bag, like, should you? Somebody checking out my basket, like, should you be eating that in your condition? Like, okay, yeah, fine.
Red meat, that's a no-no.
Right.
Amazing. Right. All right, well, Mayor Kelly Burke,
Can I say one thing? Having gone through this, and I have been incredibly blessed to literally have had no health problems my entire life. So that's it was a shock to me to even have this and go through the medical system, and I cannot thank enough the medical professionals. I mean, I had my care at both Little Company and at Through Christ, and hands down, I had excellent care, excellent treatment. Caring medical professionals, a great doctor. I mean, I hope to never see them again when this is over, except like at dinner or something. But it was, I truly am grateful.
And it all started at Little Company of Mary. That's
where
the whole thing started over there at OSF Little Company of Mary. And if you want to get yourself screened or you have any questions, Erin is probably the person you're going to end up talking to. That number one more time.
708-229-6243.
All right, or jump on the Little Company of Mary website and check it out there and get all your questions answered. Mayor Kelly Burke, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And
thanks for having me. Thanks, Erin, for everything you do.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. Surrounded by Sox memorabilia.
Yeah, right.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.